Assalamu alaikum. I'm Carl Arrindell and you're watching In Focus. Now, as the holy month of Ramadan came to an end last month, the Charity Commission website carried a small note recognising that between the 5th of June and the 5th of July, British Muslims donated over £100 million to charitable causes. Somebody calculated this number was equivalent to £38 per second. Yet, according to a Guardian analysis published in November 2014, more than a quarter of the statutory investigations launched by the Charity Commission since April 2012 have been directed at Muslim charities associated with running mosques, providing humanitarian relief or undertaking aid efforts in Syria or Palestine. Recently introduced government legislation has made the Charity Commission a part of the Prevent Counter-Terrorism Programme, an act which many regard as an attempt to deliberately target Muslim charities. Now, I'm delighted to be joined, in fact honoured to be joined, by Dr. Hany El Banna OBE, the co-founder of Islamic Relief, the largest Western-based international Muslim relief and development NGO, established in 1984 in Birmingham. Now, since leaving Islamic Relief in 2008, Dr. El Banna co-founded and became the chairman of the Muslim Charities Forum, MCF, and the Humanitarian Forum, where he is president of the Board of Trustees. Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Hany El Banna, welcome to In Focus.
Thank you.
Now, why do you think, with all this huge generosity of the Muslim community during the holy month of Ramadan, as it came to an end, that it failed to grab the interest of our media, which instead preferred to postulate over whether it was appropriate for a Muslim journalist to wear the hijab when she's reporting on terrorist issues?
You see, as you know better than myself, that media is very interested in any controversial issue. The good thing that Muslims are doing and the Muslim charities are doing is not really very attractive to the main media. So main media would love to look at extremist action like hijabi or no hijabi. Like if you look nowadays at the Burkini in France, and the nuns are actually swimming with the same dress in France as well. This is what the media would like to look at: the cat of superstar or the dog of superstar or whatever it is. They are not interested really, because we've tried this long time ago when we used to do Islamic Relief Games, very well attended by more than 8,000 people during the 80s. And no media used to come because this is not interesting for them. So really, this is the mentality of the media. The media would like to have something which attract the attention of the viewers and the audience, and something very controversial, something very strange. But what we're doing is not strange.
So what, £100 million in the space of a few weeks being collected by one section of the community is not a big enough headline?
It could be more than that. I'm not going to stop at the £100 million, because when you look at it, the charities are raising the fund, the mosques are raising the fund, there are individuals are transferring their own fund as individuals, and there's companies that not give to charities. If you look at this could be more than £100 million in the month of Ramadan. And outside Ramadan, they raise money as well. But wouldn't, because it's not controversial. It's not controversial at all. You see, unless there's an extremist element, there's a radical element, there's a terrorist element in it, so they will come and jump high on the bandwagon of extremism, terrorism, and radicalism.
Now, an ICM poll conducted just a couple of years ago determined that the Muslim community actually gives more to charity than any other religious group or community, concluding, in fact, that Muslims are Britain's top charity givers. Yet, as mentioned in my intro, more than a quarter of the statutory investigations launched by the Charity Commission since April 2012 have been directed at Muslim charities providing that humanitarian relief, that desperately needed relief, in places like Syria or Palestine. It's been suggested by some that the head of the Charity Commission, Sir William Shawcross, has a bit of a pro-Zionist agenda, and that he is greatly influenced Charity Commission policy on that basis. Given the amount of money that is donated to Muslim charities, and we've talked about the fact that it may well massively exceed the 100 million figure that's quoted, isn't a certain degree of scrutiny sort of acceptable and expected?
We are welcoming any kind of visit by the Charity Commission, whether it's randomly or organized. I have no problem with this, because Muslim charities are not doing something illegal, are not hiding anything. But let me say, in 2012, August 2012, we wrote to the Charity Commission asking them as a guideline for the new startup organization working in conflict zone. Okay, because at that time we realized that a lot of Syrian diaspora organizations and initiatives are coming and raising a lot of fund. But the answer from the Charity Commission, look at our website. We managed, as Muslim Charities Forum, during the discussion in the Select Committee on Charity Bill in the House of Commons in December 2014. I was invited as a chairman of MCF, a Muslim Charities Forum, to respond to the bill there. The international work of the humanitarian organization was not mentioned at all in it. So they were talking about the governance, like the trustees, the criteria, when you can add a trustee, remove a trustee, the bank accounts, and all these sort of things, and the accounting, which is the normal, traditional stuff. But from our point of view, we added the point, what will happen to us? And this is a discussion happened between me personally and the head of the Charity Commission, Mr. William Shawcross. And I told him, if I'm in an area controlled by a prescribed group, and they are controlling 500,000, 1 million people, and we would like to send aid to those people, will you consider me an extremist, terrorist, radical? Will you guide me, give me any guidance? The answer was none. No answer came. No answer came in this meeting, but we have to put it again to the Select Committee in December 2014. And thank God the Lord Chairman of the committee picked it up and added it as a recommendation. Charity Commission on the following year added some workshops between the Charity Commission and Muslim Charities Forum to discuss this issue. This was not, nobody wanted to tackle it. Nobody wanted to put his hand in the dirty water or to be bitten by a snake or a scorpion in this area. But they leave you alone. When you are done, they say, sorry, you are done. What is your guidance? Where is the regulation? Where is actually your TOR for those organizations working in Syria? My advice to any startup organization, don't try to work on a conflict zone. The rule of work in conflict zone is different to the rule of work in humanitarian response to tsunami, to natural disasters and others. Different story. So if you are a startup organization, a small organization, please give your money to a very well organized, reputable, credible organization to do the work on yourself. But if you do it by yourself as a small startup organization, you might not know the law of the governance of this area.
But to be frank, I can't help but consider the fact that there you are, you're the founder of one of the largest, if not the largest, Muslim charity in Europe, the Islamic Relief. You've been a pioneer in organisations calling for governance and transparency and accountability, the Humanitarian Forum, and, as you just mentioned, the Muslim Charities Forum, for which you, on behalf of which you address the Select Committee. That, as an organisation, includes Islamic Relief, it includes Islamic Help, Muslim Hands. These are the big Muslim charities from the UK. But they were a target of a negative campaign, yes, targeting several of the forum's members, suggesting that they were connected to the Muslim Brotherhood and effectively suggesting that they were all linked to terrorism. This led the government's communities and local government department to withdraw the support for its flagship programme, the 250,000 project, which was meant to foster integration and was part of the main thrust of the David Cameron's plan to tackle extremism. Can you tell me, one, about the Faith, Minorities in Action project, but to answer the initial part of the question, does it really make a lot of difference whether you're experienced or whether you're not, when even the most experienced practitioners are finding themselves in this situation being accused of being terrorists for simply providing relief in war-torn regions?
I will challenge anyone to prove this is right. Come and put the evidence on the table. Come and put the evidence as a newspaper, which spread a lot of lies and rumors, being orchestrated by foreign governments, funding them. Our government was under pressure by certain foreign governments to put one organization which have nothing to do with it. We have nothing to do with it because we are a humanitarian organization. None of the organizations are member of such organization which the government was asked to classify it as a terrorist organization. The challenge here is from me. Come and challenge me with your evidence. Don't throw stone at my house and run away because you have a media. You have a media outlet or a newspaper, whatever it is. The evidence has to be there on the table. And let me and you sit down and discuss it face to face. And I know and we know that you are wrong. Absolutely wrong. Because if the governments know and if the security knows that there is a link between any of such a charity with an extremist or radical or terrorist organization, we know what the consequence be to be closed on the spot.
Well,
with the security coming to your office without any warning. That's why such media, you asked me about the media earlier on, why they are not celebrating the 100 million, because they're not interested in success. But they would like to report the failure and the controversy, and they create the controversy. Such a newspaper and such journalists with S want to make money out of an issue which is funded by foreign governments.
But you've made some valid points there. At least you would have thought that the government, having sensationalised a newspaper hyperbole, which accused members of your Charity Forum committee of being linked to terrorism, once they were not presented with any valid evidence, would have retracted their position and refunded the project.
They refused to retract the decision. And to be very honest, we don't want the fund, and it was a mistake to apply for such a fund to make a community cohesion. We are the people, the members of the Muslim Charities Forum have got the connectivity to the grassroots community between the Muslims and non-Muslims more than any other organization in the country. And they knew that. But actually, to come back in a legal issue, which costs the charities a lot of money, we cannot, every letter we use to write to the department cost 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds. The charities cannot afford to keep writing. The government has its own bureaucrat. They are paying for it. And, you know, the lawyer keep writing letters to you. So we took a decision, okay, enough is enough. We know who you are. And if there is a legal challenge, we can go to court if you want. But there is no evidence whatsoever of such rumors. I'm not saying accusation. Rumors mentioned in one newspaper which have been supported by foreign governments. My worry is I did not want to see my government, the British government, to be pressurized by foreign donor countries. This is what actually made British people like myself and yourself and others say, why should we be pressurized by such countries who would like to classify you and you and you for their political agenda? This is something which our government and our country should not allow to happen to the citizenship of this country are to the reputable organization who have been working in a very, very difficult, dangerous area, a no-go area, shoot to kill area in Chechnya, in Afghanistan, at the time of war, not at the time of peace. Syria, Chechnya, Afghanistan, South Sudan, everywhere. And now, foreign policy dictated to you by foreign countries.
Well, I think very few political figures are going to confess to being party to that process, although that seems quite clear from what you have described. But let's move on to a branch of what you've just been saying. You talk about falling prey to the manipulations of foreign governments. We've been witnessing at the identical same time as we've seen this attack on the Muslim Charities Forum, there's been a widespread closing of bank accounts for a number of prominent Muslim charities and community organisations. Largely, it would seem, as for those organisations that had any